The Veterans Coffee Club podcast starts right here with you. Veterans helping veterans. One cup, one story, and one conversation at a time.
That was supposed to be a little bit longer than that. And, I've sat here all morning trying to get this intro right, and then I wind up not getting it right. So, whatever. Anyways, good morning. This is Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski, your host on the Veterans Coffee Club podcast. And we just started doing the weekly ones starting this July. No, but I just started podcasting. Okay. It is what it is. So back to, I do have a husband. Just walked through the room right when I started. So I'm off to a great start already. But I did notice that I had something load up in my intro. So I'm going to try this again and see if this works this time.
Grab a cup, pull up a chair. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast is on the air. Different branches, different posts, different years, same ride. We know the long convoys, guardships, chow halls, pride. We know the crackle of a radio, boots humming on the floor, letters home, family calls, the waiting by the door. No matter where we serve or the uniform we wore, there's always room around this table. Come on in and shut the door. Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Pull up and take a seat. One cup, one story. Keep the pulse and eat. Veterans Coffee Club, where the words run deep. We show up, we speak up, and we keep what we keep. With a hot cup of coffee and some truth we need to say. Veterans helping veterans, that's how we lead the way. Blue or green, doesn't matter. Yeah, you still in. If you're in it now, say so. We all pack the boxes, we move from town to town. Hey! Late nights with the news on, yeah, and the phone right there. You know that life too, yeah, we live some of it. You ever have one of those days you don't know what to say all the time? That's why we sit here. From yesterday's warriors to those still serving today, we honor every sacrifice and the price that freedom paid. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Grab a cup, take a seat. One cup, one story. Honest talk, no repeat. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Say it plain, say it straight. We show up, we speak up. No backing out the gate. So grab a cup and join us. We keep it real, we keep it true. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast starts right
Okay, so I had to do that all over again because I messed up the first part. And you know what? After I replayed that little intro, I realized I don't even know if my microphone was on when I first started a few minutes ago. So it's kind of funny. I'm going to have to go back and edit the beginning of this podcast. But, anyways, good morning, virtual world. My name is Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski, and I will be your host on today's The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. And there was a couple of things that happened this week. I mean, and not just behind the scenes, which I'll talk about probably towards the end. But there's some stuff happening in DC with the VFW. And then I got somebody sending me messages talking about an Israel Army merger. Man, my cat's over here messing with me. It's always something. It's always something. But anyway, so those were some of the topics that fell in my lap this week, and I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and get this up. Okay, this is my Facebook. I'm going to go back onto my personal page. Oh, I already had it up on this other tab. So in order for me to even talk about this, it's kind of hard to explain, especially to people that really don't know how some of this stuff works on Facebook or social media. But this week on my wall, I was scrolling. Well, it was just popping up, really. And the VFW and the algorithms on social media were doing their job. I don't think I can move this section over here, but so I started getting all these notifications and seeing stuff about veterans of foreign wars. And it's crazy because it started over a t-shirt design. Well, actually it started over a contract. And somebody, which another veteran obviously, made a t-shirt. And whoever the guy, I'm going to try to find one of these videos that explains it better. But the t-shirt set off this little war between, I think the guy's first name is Mark, and the VFW. And then so all week, everybody just started showing up and showing their support, picking sides. And I really don't know which side to get on. I want to lean towards the VFW because I believe the guys, whoever did the meme, was, exercising their protected speech and rights to do the meme. So for the guy to call for, I think he called for their accreditation to be pulled, and that's a big deal. I was hoping, okay, here it goes. So people were coming out with some stuff, and yes, they did use AI. I think a lot of us didn't realize how much we use AI until the whole great data center debate popped up in the last couple months. So anyway, this popped up on my feed. So it says, "We fought for this country, now we fight for our promises. We never stop fighting. Silence the VFW, take away their right to fight." Okay, Mike Boast, right there. It's on his name tag. So Mike Boast got so mad at whoever the veterans were that made this shirt, and I'm going to keep going and try to find the picture. I think it's that one that I just pointed out, but I think it might be. I'm a memer, so I think that it might be better than the one that I just pointed out, so we'll keep scrolling. But anyways, so we fought overseas, and this is always, if you don't know anything about veterans health care, one thing I've learned is it changes with the seasons, which I don't think it should. I think once you get certain benefits, we should always get to keep the better ones. And I thought at one time we were getting record speeds on our visits. Like you used to go, when I first got home, it would take an hour or 2 hours just before you could get seen. And they got it down to 30 minutes and then it went back up, or it fluctuates like a roller coaster. and my husband's in the other room using a, what do you call it, the sweeper. Yeah, and I can hear that back feed. Sorry, it got me distracted because I was going to yell, but then I realized that he might not hear me where he's at in the house, but you're going to hear it super loud. So I just paused and I'm going to keep going. Okay, so VFW, and it was kind of funny there for a couple days because I wasn't sure, who was going to get what, but I think in the end we won something, and we'll go over that too. So let's see. Calling all eligible vets. Oh, I have to go back to that. That was a conversation I was having with her earlier. So VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. Is that the t-shirt? Okay, because so it's calling them, make the bureaucrats in DC honor the contract we all signed. Okay, so this, I think this was the t-shirt that got him in trouble. That is it. Let's see. It won't let me go. I hate it when it does that. So punishing service, removing benefits, waste, and fraud. Bureaucrats, media. I see why he got mad. But still, he went after him hardcore. Okay, so I'm getting away from it. VFW is not a fringe activist group. It's the voice of the American veterans. I don't know what this is. And this admin are trying to use the government to punish anyone who disagrees. Ooh, you know what? It's a 49-second clip. I'm going to go ahead and play this.
The Republican chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee has publicly attacked the Veterans of Foreign Wars, aka the VFW, one of the oldest and most influential veterans associations in America, which opposes the Republican Veterans Bill on behalf of their more than 1 million veteran members. And I want to express my appreciation for them being present today in the Rules Committee. But the Republican chair of the Veterans Committee is accusing the VFW, listen, of all things, of inciting violence over a political cartoon, and sent a letter urging the Trump administration to pull the VFW's accreditation as a veteran service organization, jeopardizing VFW's ability to help veterans get the benefits that they earned. The Republican chair of the Veterans Affairs.
Okay, that was a short clip, but that's interesting. So they're going back and forth. Let's go back up here. I like that guy. Okay, I see what it is. It's my celery juice. Okay. Let me have that. All right, back to this. The guy has a tattoo on his neck. Now, I want to go back and listen to him, but I think he lost his primary for coming out and speaking against something. Okay. How the VFW just screwed over combat wounded veterans. Okay, well, maybe I should listen to it. Okay, so I'm going to go listen to the other guy, but let's see what he has to say.
So the VFW, with the help of a small handful of 4 Republicans and, of course, all Democrats, just fucked over combat wounded veterans and surviving spouses. Why would they do that? Well, Congress finally got their shit together and put together a pretty good bill. A bill that, again, helps surviving spouses, actually helps combat wounded veterans, right-sizes the kind of benefits that everyone gets. And to pay for that, they right-sized other benefits that veterans have been getting forever, like 50% disability rating for sleep apnea. That is bullshit. It was, when I was getting out, it was a 30% disability rating if you lose a limb or an eye. And tinnitus, another bullshit disability rating. They took away that too. That's the pay for. It doesn't even affect anyone getting their benefits now. And yet a handful of Republicans and all Democrats are too chicken shit to actually get it done. And who's suffering now? The people who actually need these benefits. So good job, VFW. Good job. You're a victim worshiping relic of an organization. You suck. And I don't think anyone, no veteran out there, should ever join a VFW. I mean, they're honestly very depressing to go to anyway. So, yeah.
Well, he had some points there. But so whatever he said there started. So everybody's been fussing this week. And it's kind of hard sitting back trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. Okay, wait. This is what I saw. So he called the VFW a victim worshiping relic. Dan Crenshaw dodged us in DC on Monday, wouldn't open the door. Now he's on Instagram telling the veteran community that 125 years of service sucks. So we went through it together, line by line, receipt by receipt. The VFW didn't kill his bill. Okay, it must have been Dan's bill. Section 108 killed his bill because you don't get to pay for the one group of disabled veterans by stripping benefits from another group of disabled veterans. Okay. That's not a compromise. That's a shell game. Don't weaponize your sacrifice to justify cutting theirs. The door is still open. Bring your receipts. We'll bring ours. Okay, class dismissed. I like after the uniform. I like this guy. Let me see.
Dan Crenshaw finally decided to show up on Instagram because he couldn't look the VFW in the face when we were literally there just the other day. Let's go ahead and dive into this one together.
VFW, with the help of a small handful of 4 Republicans, of course all Democrats, just fucked over combat wounded veterans and surviving spouses.
Hold on. He just said the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, an organization that stood the line for 125 years, screwed over combat wounded veterans. The same VFW that supported and helped with the GI Bill, that fought for PTSD recognition. How about the burn pit coverage? No, Dan Crenshaw, who served one term in Congress and didn't get reelected, is telling the VFW how to do their job. I'll wait.
How would they do that? Congress finally got their shit together and put together a pretty good bill. A bill that, again, helps surviving spouses, actually helps combat wounded veterans, sizes the kind of benefits everyone gets. To pay for that, they right-size other benefits that veterans have been getting forever, like 50% disability rating for sleep apnea. That is bullshit. When I was getting out, it was a 30% disability rating if you lose a limb or an eye.
Here's where I'm going to be very, very direct. I respect your service and your sacrifice, Dan. Losing your eye in combat is a real thing. Using your own injury to argue that veterans who are tethered but to a breathing machine every night because of their deployment, their TBIs, their PTSD, they deserve a 10% rating instead of 50%.
Tinnitus, another bullshit disability rating.
Did he just say tinnitus can't be scientifically connected to service? The VA's own research calls it the single most prevalent service-connected disability in the entire system.
That's the pay for. It doesn't even affect anyone getting their benefits now. A handful of Republicans and all Democrats are too chicken shit to actually get it done. Who's suffering now? The people who actually need these benefits. Good job.
Okay, I'm already siding with what after the uniform saying. He's making some better points. And I can feel the sincerity coming from after the uniform, his passion. And I do believe he went to DC because I've seen him in some of the pictures. As I was scrolling, I recognized the neck tattoo. Anyway, he's making some good points.
Good job, VFW. Good job. You're a victim worshipping relic of an organization.
There it is. Thank you. VFW for screwing over veterans. Let me tell you exactly why the VFW, the DAV, and the IAVA, the Marine Corps League, and 21 other organizations said no to your bill, Dan. It's called Section 108. If your bill tried to pay for the Richard Starr Act, which we all want, by stripping the tinnitus and sleep apnea ratings from future veterans who are, let's just say it this way, currently downrange. You tried to make disabled veterans pay for their other disabilities and compromises. This is a shell game. The VFW has been around long enough to recognize this.
You suck. And I don't think anyone, no veteran out there, should ever join the VFW. They're honestly very depressing to go to anyway.
The VFW doesn't answer to Dan Crenshaw. They answer to the veteran community. The veteran community read the bill. We were in DC on Monday. We read the receipts in hand. He shut the door in our face. Now he's on Instagram. Dan, the door is still open. Come talk to us. Bring your receipts. We'll bring ours. Class dismissed. Dan Crenshaw.
See, I just like this guy. He made some really good points. He made some really good points on that. So, I think, okay, here's something. Let's see what they say. for more than 120. See, they just went back and forth on their arguing. That's not really a video. Okay, what's this one? VFW first published this political cartoon. Aha. Okay, this is 2 minutes. Let's see what they have to say.
If you don't get that that's political satire to make a point, I'm sorry, but you got to know your history.
I mean,
the elephant in the room, if you will. Last year, when the Washington Post had done their take, their editorial board saying that it was absurdly generous, the types of benefits that we got,
right.
we got fired up. So we reissued a cartoon that we had in the annals of the VFW magazine, 1933, 93 years ago, that this cartoon right here was first issued. So what you're seeing in this cartoon, it's the Economy League, the National Economy League and the Chamber of Commerce taking aim at veterans. And why? Because they were looking to save money and they were looking at veterans benefits to do it. That's crazy.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what's recommended out there by the think tanks of what they should get rid of when it comes to veterans benefits.
What's old is new again,
Wow.
right? What's old is new again.
So we reissued and modernized that firing squad. And
So
we used in our statement back in November timeframe, which then was used in a button that was worn by all of our legislative committee members and everybody that attended the Washington conference. Our national commander, Commander-in-Chief Carol Whitmore, who wore the pin, handed them out in congressional offices this last week when Grunt Style, in agreement with the VFW, put out a design for the t-shirt that was going to be sold now until National Convention. And it's the firing squad. That's what was on the button.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was taken as we are trying to incite political violence. If you don't get that that's political satire to make a point, I'm sorry, but you got to know your history.
I mean,
So if you can't figure out political violence and political satire and separation between the two, and now you're going to start proposing legislation and cuts to benefits, I don't know.
the timing is very suspicious.
Right. And you know, the thing is that when Ryan testified last year before the Senate,
Yeah.
he held up all three of those, the current one, the one from 56 and the one from 33 in one sheet, held it up
Mm-hmm.
and showed them and talked about it back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but you know, we hope that Chairman Boss was watching our testimony at that particular point, but maybe he didn't.
Huh. Wow, I'm glad I pushed play on that one. That one, I learned some stuff there. Okay, so just because we're on the topic, this was DC on the 16th. Let me read. Yesterday, your VFW, along with fellow veteran service organizations, supporters, and advocates, joined together on the Hill, calling on Congress to remove Section 108 from the Take Care of American Veterans Act and honor the contract. One generation of veterans should never have to pay for another. Okay, there you have it. So, I wish I could go to DC more, really. I think I would have fun out there. It looks like they had a lot of people supporting their side, and I would have been with them after hearing that's what the bill was. Remove Section 108. We should never have to pay for something or take away. Oh, you know who I recognize here? Ah, CivDiv. He's the guy that does, well, it's either CivDiv or it's his doppelganger. But right there, if you don't know anything about CivDiv and you're needing help doing comp claims of any sort, I recommend finding CivDiv on YouTube. He's got some great videos. He can walk you through all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so it looks like DAV, VFW, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, Common Defense, AFGE, I don't know that one, Union Veterans Council, Student Veterans of America, Vet Voice Foundation, Marine Corps League, Semper Fidelis. Okay. Good turnout. I do think that's Civ Div. Tinnitus. Okay, I recognize this shirt. He had it on in one of his vids. That is Civ Div. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can find him over here on YouTube. I'm going to switch over here for a minute. So I can't go live for some reason on my YouTube channel or on the YouTube channel for the Veterans Coffee Club podcast because it's so new. So I'm having to go on like several other platforms. Yeah, there he is. Civ Div. So if you're trying to find me on YouTube channel, it's not live there. It wouldn't go. So I'm on 2 other YouTubes and 4 Facebook profiles. So this right here, this is Civ. Okay, you got to get the Civ Div. See, he's got the tinnitus hoodie. That's totally Civ Div. See, cool. That's like finding Where's Waldo. That's kind of exciting. Recognizing people that I follow on YouTube in DC. Ah, what a hoot. Okay. So yeah, if you didn't know anything about what happened in DC this week, it was a big to-do. And, you know, for some reason, I don't know, this round feels we're at odds with each other more than any other year that I can think of since I came home. Like I don't remember ever being this divisive between the veterans communities. But apparently, there's a great divide in a lot of communities, from red to blue to veterans and local organizations. You got, you know, like if you don't got somebody holding these guys accountable, it can be really ugly. And I've experienced the ugly, and I keep, you know, pushing through. Never give up, never surrender, you know. If people don't like me, so be it. It's not my fault. I love me. But anyway, there's that topic. So let's see what else. Okay, let's Google it. What happened in DC this week? Looks like I got my cat blocked on. Okay. Okay, it looks like heavy smoke from Canada wildfires triggered a code purple, very unhealthy air quality alert across the region. The poor air paired with, excuse me, that's that coffee throat. The poor air paired with intense summer heat sparked widespread health warnings. That's interesting. That was not what I was expecting to pull up. I was expecting something way different. So it looks like there was political protests demanding changes to immigration, custom enforcement, ICE operations. NPR News has a good article on it. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking more, should say veterans. Let's see. Veterans News. House leaders were forced to withdraw the Take Care of America Act. Okay, paraphrase. So HR 92, let me highlight it. 9237 from the floor. After facing bipartisan opposition and protests from veterans groups, opponents argue the bill contained the largest potential cut to benefits in history, including reducing disability pay for tinnitus and sleep apnea. Okay, I see why. not every soldier gets tinnitus, but a lot do for miscellaneous reasons, from the guns, the loud noises working around the machinery, or some that I've heard people say. And it sucks. I didn't have tinnitus when I first got home. I think it started like closer to the pandemic, but now I have it. And I do hear a ringing in my ears all the time. Okay, historic enrollment. The VA announces it welcomed 200,000 new healthcare enrollees so far in 2026. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I mean, it's great they're getting them enrolled, but if okay, right now, for some reason, I didn't get my extras after I went to my VA appointment. I didn't get my acupuncture. What else was it? Massage therapy stuff. The community care people didn't call me, so there's that. U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Some recent VA news includes, okay, that's what we saw there. Democratic veterans celebrate defeat of Republican attack. What's that? Representative. Okay, it took me there. I was just going to read the excerpt. July 16th. Let's see. Democratic veterans celebrate defeat of Republican attack on veterans benefits. Interesting. I don't know. It's going to take too long to figure out how much I know. I mean, how do you know that they were all Democrats? But I guess if Dan was the one that wrote the bill and he's Republican, I could see that, how that might read that way. Man, there's a divide. I just said, and it looks like, politics is dividing us when we should be coming together and being more diplomatic and civil. But some people don't want to sit down at the civil table because they know that they're in the wrong. They don't want to debate. They don't know how to debate. That's one of the other issues I'm having here in Anderson, Madison County politics. They all want to point the finger, but they don't want to talk about the real root issue, which is my podcast, my YouTube channels, recording the videos of all the meetings and then putting them on YouTube, because, some stuff just disappears if you don't have video of it. Everybody knows that. Blue Ridge Honor Flight. Now, if you don't know about the honor flights, I strongly suggest looking. There's a branch in Indy that does honor flights, and everybody that's went on the trips to Washington, D.C. all say they're really cool. This week's VA Office Research Development published 3 new briefs. Great. I want to know where my extra care went. So if they're paying too much attention to writing all those articles and not getting our care tip-top shape, that's a problem. Okay, so what do we got? It is 9:35. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I kept getting emails and messages about the Isreal thing, and I didn't see a lot of that pop up this week, and it might have been because the bill, the VFW ought with Mike Boast. So Israel and Army merger. Let's see. And yeah, so eventually I plan on having somebody come on with me each week. And the other idea is to try to get people in other states to come on with me to banter back and forth. So until then, good morning. Good morning, 6 puppies. I'm doing the Veterans Coffee Club podcast this morning, talking about veteran stuff. It's been a rocky morning. I think my mic was muted the first minute, so I'll have to go back and edit all my stuff. So, all right. So I'm on to the Israel. Okay. Israel Army merger. I don't know if you guys heard about this. Somebody sent me a message about this, and I was like, what? Because I didn't know nothing about it. So this was like a last minute, I guess, because I've been paying attention to everything else going on behind the scenes, not so behind the scenes, that I just wasn't paying attention to what was going on nationally. So, okay, this is a interesting deal because Congress quietly moves to integrate U.S. Okay, well, if that's no wonder nobody heard about it. Responsible statecraft. So I don't know who this person is, but it's interesting that's I don't know, I guess that could have been AI put that there for me. Congress quietly moves to integrate U.S. and Israeli militaries. That is because how would that work? Because they have a stricter they have stricter training, right? Like, I don't know if like the younger generations, well, as a matter of fact, let's look at that. Israeli Army. Let's see. I know a little bit of the history. Right there. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, also known by Hebrew acronym. Now, I am a Shabbat observer. I can't speak Hebrew. And I do have some Hebrew lettering. I can tell you what my lettering on my tattoos say, but I can't pronounce it. Or not, at least not that word. Is the national military of the state of Israel, compromising the ground, air, navy branches. But see, the thing about it is I think they have age. Like, I think they, as soon as they get a fighting age, they get trained on how to be like a response force. So it'd be interesting to see how that would work because, yeah, I don't know if our younger generation would be ready to just grab their weapons and go. Okay, let's see. Since 1967, IDF has maintained a close security relationship with the United States. Yeah, because that's right. Because I don't think they were identified as a nation or until later. So if that might have been when they came back online, as I should say, in history, modern day history. Don't see there. Maybe I should just put age restriction. That's what I want to see. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Because I've always admired that. I thought it would be cool if we put the, not as a militant type, I guess like the Nazis did, not like that. I think it would help. And then they would have physical fitness, teach them American history. But what we got now is just a hodgepodge of everybody trying to fight on who gets to write history, or what we would call history. Okay, yep. Oh, I remember it was 1948, Palestine War. And see, there's another not funny point, but I heard that they went and tested a bunch, like they tested people that call themselves Jews and some of the Palestinians, or like people that came forward. And I guess there was more Palestine people that had genetic markers like the Jews from the Bible than the actual ones that call themselves Jews in Israel. Google it. So I'm not seeing the age. Let me go back. See, I hate when I do that. They do have an age restriction though, and I want to point that out because I don't know if people understand that if it happens, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at like a, I can't even think of the word they call it. It's like what happened in Vietnam. They just call you up. Yeah, I was trying to find just the Wikipedia. I figured would be the easy one. Wait. Okay, here it is. Mandatory service. You know, I should have known better. It's going to be right in front of me. And then this one's in Hebrew. So they should know their stuff. The Israel Defense Force official website. Oh. Okay. For male soldiers to 32 months. Mandatory service. IDF is currently participating in U.S. Okay, see, it's telling us right there. Brokered talks regarding a phased withdrawal from occupied territories in southern Lebanon, which involves coordinated development of the Lebanese army. Additionally, the military continues operations targeting infrastructure in Gaza Strip and is preparing for regional security contingencies, including the deployment of U.S. aerial refueling tankers to Israel bases. Okay. See? Even the girls have to participate. And they can't go anywhere without their guns. I mean, I remember being in and hearing about how their army was in comparison to how ours is. And even when they're out of uniform, I think they still have to carry their guns with them around town. Or wherever they're at in Israel. And then they do the siren thing, and everybody has to go to the wall or to a certain point, which makes sense. I mean, the strategy behind what they do. Okay, I started scrolling. I squirreled. I think it's because I was looking to see if it was something easy without having to type it in. Israel Army age and mandatory service. Okay, Israel citizens are generally required to register for draft. That was the word. They have to register for the draft at age 18. Mandatory military service is 32 months for the men, 24 months for the women after their active duty service, and citizens remain eligible for reserve duty until the age of 40. Whoa. I laugh because I'm in my, I was fluffy by the time I was in my 30s. If you don't stay on top of doing PT and you get stuck on fatty cakes, whatever, injuries. Some of us just get fluffier as we age. Anyway, mandatory service and age requirements, draft age, registration and preparation. Yeah, preparation for draft begins at age 16 and a half, with enlistment typically occurring at age 18. Length service in July 2026, extended mandatory service for men, 32 months. That's interesting. So, how much of that would carry over into a merger? And are they wanting to merger with them because they just know how to run an army better? Because it seems like a lot of people aren't even deployment ready, like the younger generations. Oh, you know what? I know what I wanted to talk about, and it just dawned on me as I'm sitting here talking. Okay, so perfect. After I go over this Israel Army merger thing, because I want to dig in this a little bit more. I want to talk about Fort Hood soldiers, or some of the stuff going on down in Fort Hood, because that's just been some craziness going on down there. Missing soldiers, more non-combatant injuries. Israel Army. Okay. All right, there you have that. So where's the other one? Okay, share this one instead. Okay. See what the news says on it. Something over here. Okay, let's see this little clip.
Have refused to allow a floor vote on a bipartisan amendment seeking to block the integration of the U.S. and Israeli militaries. The proposed U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative would accelerate U.S.-Israeli technology sharing, co-production of weapon systems, and partnerships on the military use of artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and more. An amendment by California Democrat Ro Khanna and Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie would have removed the initiative from the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act. Congressmember Khanna spoke out Tuesday after Republican leaders refused to make the amendment eligible for debate.
This is unconscionable. They're not even giving us a vote on the amendment. Thomas and I will continue to fight to make sure we don't compromise American sovereignty.
Interesting. Very interesting. So they're saying, let's go over here. Republicans controlling the House Rules Committee have refused to allow a floor vote on bipartisan amendment seeking to block the integration of the U.S. and Israeli militaries. I don't know what to think about that. Because in one aspect, the Israeli militaries have some of the highest, the best training. And would that be all branches? Or is it just the Army? Okay, here. Cooperation Initiative would accelerate U.S.-Israeli technology sharing, co-production of weapons systems, and partnerships on the military use of artificial intelligence. Okay. I would be, if I was a soldier, I'd be trying to figure out if they're going to go to the draft next and if people would be trained just like the Israeli army at some point. So I went to my normal or my personal profile to look up stuff. So that's why I keep getting the notifications. Sorry if it's blocking the screen. All right, let's take my screen back a little. All right. Okay. Explain to me like I'm 5. Okay, let's do this one. Explain to me like I'm 5. Why are we merging our military with Israel? Why would we do that with any foreign military? Okay, you know what? Let's see if, okay, yep. Let's do this one. I'm going to copy and paste this into YouTube. See if we can find some videos. So I don't know. This is Israeli burger. Okay, let's find one that looks interesting. That's an 8 to 10 minute one. I don't know. That's 10 minutes, I guess. Can we get it in a minute and 30? Probably not. Isn't that like the average time a person's brain can focus on something, and if it's not interesting, they click over to something else? Oh, no. 7 minutes. Okay. Let's piggyback.
Congress is trying to merge Israeli and American militaries together, and they hid it in a defense bill. In Section 224 of the American National Defense Authorization Act, they called for an Israel-American Technology Cooperation Initiative.
So this kid says go to Section 224. So let's talk about what 224 actually does and says. Section 224 creates something called the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. It designates a Department of Defense executive agent to coordinate research and development, testing, evaluation, acquisition pathways, and industrial cooperation between the United States and Israel. Funny enough, these same people will say, well, we give money to Israel. What do we get back from them? This is just another thing added on. If you guys want to know more, you can watch my video that talks about a lot of stuff we get from Israel. Notice what is missing from that description. There is no military merger. There is no combined army. There's no transfer of command authority. This is all just made up nonsense from them, or they read it online and they're just repeating it. A lot of people are getting hung up on the word integration, but words matter. In defense acquisition language, integration does not mean integrating American soldiers into the IDF or Israeli soldiers into the US military. It means integrating useful technologies into American systems and programs, making us better. Things like missile defense, counter drone technology, artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities, electronic warfare systems, sensors, and anti-tunnel technology.
Hold on. Didn't we have to admit that we aren't the best in the world? So that's kind of interesting.
I wonder, what country in the world is one of the best at exactly those things I just mentioned? Yes, Israel. So when people claim our militaries are merging, one of two things is happening. Either they don't understand defense acquisition terminology, or they do understand it and they're intentionally misleading you. It's probably that one. Neither option is good because 224 is about technology cooperation between strategic allies. It's not surrendering American sovereignty in any way. The bill does not place American troops under Israeli command. It does not place Israeli troops under American command. It does not create a combined.
I'm sorry, but he's pegging everything that I just talked about leading up to this video because I totally got stuck on the wording. So this guy's schooling me right now, and I'm chuckling because I'm being schooled. And I mean, I like to be corrected, you know, and it's just funny because this guy, he just knows he's right at whatever he's putting out there.
Combined military. It does not change Title 10 command authority. It does not alter the president's role as commander in chief. And no, it does not colonize America. What it does do is recognize reality. The United States and Israel face many of the same threats. Iran, its proxy networks, drone swarms, missile attacks, cyber warfare, tunnel networks, electronic warfare, urban combat environments. Israel has spent years fighting exactly these kind of threats: rockets, drones, tunnels, cyber operations, Iranian proxy groups, definitely, information warfare, and more.
Okay, if you're just tuning in, like Karen, so I've talked about a couple different things. If you want to go back and watch the beginning of the video or the podcast, I talked about the VFW issue this week, and we talked about the beef between, is it Mike or Mark Boast and the VFW, and then the great divide between like the red or veterans, and it seems like politics is dividing us hardcore right now, really divisive. And then I wanted to talk about, somebody sent me the message about the Israel Army merger, and I totally just whiffed it like a baseball bat for like the last 10 minutes. Sorry I missed his reasoning as public servant. Yeah, it's just, there was a whole bunch of other stuff that I just said. Like I was concerned about the Israel IDF has a more strict type training, and I don't think our younger generations would be ready for that kind of, ready for a draft and then having to be like war ready at all times. I mean, we can't even get our National Guard and Army ready to deploy as it is. So it would be interesting. And then this guy's just going through and saying, I got hung up on the word. So it's kind of funny. He's schooling me. So I got to, you know, eat some humble pie and just listen to what he's saying. It's all right, though. You know, I can admit when I'm wrong or don't know.
And that means they generate real-world battlefield experience and combat-tested innovation that can benefit American forces. Ignoring those lessons would make absolutely no sense. At the same time, the United States brings massive industrial capacity, global reach, advanced testing infrastructure, and one of the largest defense ecosystems on Earth. Israel brings rapid innovation, battlefield feedback, and combat testing technology. That's called cooperation. That's called having allies. When you combine the two, you get a very good product. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about. The same people screaming military merger would have no problem if America was cooperating with NATO allies, Australia, the United Kingdom, Japan, or South Korea. But when the ally is Israel, suddenly defense cooperation becomes colonization. Read section 224 for yourselves. Don't let people online who either don't understand the language or hope that you don't understand it tell you what the bill says.
Congress is trying to merge.
Well, thank you. What's his name? And he just happens to be a Nick. For some reason, my allergies are acting up. Oh, I have this little fan blowing right on me, so I think it's taking whatever desk dusk. Blowing it right in my face. Oh, help me. Hold on. Fine. Yeah, I never had issues with my sinuses until I went to Baghdad, and I lived in 8 months in the desert, and then come home, and after I aged a little bit, it started affecting. Now all of a sudden I have allergies. The only thing that I'm allergic to is dust. Go figures. Okay, so he just schooled me. So I don't think I want to go farther in that subject matter. Yes, it's killing me. I don't know if you can tell. Now I want stubby. I do have a VA pill for that. They seem to give me pills for everything. But hold on, let's go find something else to look at. Okay. So last week, I can't remember who, Karen, I don't know if you were on last week and got to hear about, well, let's go look at that for a minute. So I started, I'll just bring it up. Military justice for all. Okay, non-combat deaths of female service members. Okay, so last week I talked about these guys in Commissioner Block. And as I was talking about them, I started remembering that a lot of these guys came from Fort Hood. And then there was like Private Schmitty, who was neglected and died in his room. So I'm going to the Debbie Downer side. It's raining. Is it raining where you're at? I don't know. I can't see outside. 6 puppies. Squirrel. Yeah, so anyway, Smitty popped up on my mind and I wanted to talk about him. And then it kind of led down this other rabbit hole where I thought, well, I don't know if any of you guys know about if you know about the Fort Hood stuff or just any of the stuff that was going on down there around Fort Hood, like Vanessa Guillen type stuff. So I wanted to talk about that because sometimes, like when it first came out, I kind of feel like I was almost Vanessa Guillen when I was in. Thankful to be home. That's all I'll say about that. But anyway, it got me thinking that I wanted to talk about Smitty because his story was it Schmidt. I might have to go look at let's go find his mom. Oh, you can't see my screen. So I went over here to Facebook because I know her stuff pops up on my feed. She's a Gold Star mom. But her son's story. Okay. The Smitty Check Act. Okay. If you don't know about what happened to Private Schmitty, that's what we're going to talk. Okay, that's what it is. Smither. Private Smither. And his nickname was Smitty. His mom, she has done some crazy stuff in the name of love. And I can't think of her name right now. There she is, Heather. When I first met that lady or stumbled across her information, she is a Gold Star mom. And she has done an excellent job of keeping his memory alive. And one of her most famous moments is when she dressed up as Lady Liberty and protested at Fort Hood. And that's when intro and oh my God, there's so much stuff going on and it just is crazy. And it's probably always went on. We just didn't have the internet and Facebook to alert us to these different things. And she's so pretty, but that's him. And he was very, yeah, well, she does have some nice dogs. She does. And she does like a lot of training to help keep her mind. She trains like, that's why she's physically fit. So I was hoping that when I got on here, I could show you as her all in blue, because I was so like drawn to her because of that. I wanted to know his story, and then I became friends with her, and so I've got to watch it play out. Whereas when I first heard about Private Smithers, yeah, I learned it from her. Her and Kamisha was protesting at Fort Hood. So let me see if there's some videos still out there, because that was a really pivotal moment. You always learn stuff too when you type stuff in. Always find something that you might not have known before. It was an accident find. Yeah, when they changed the name, okay, that's what it was. So it's not even called Fort Hood anymore. And just because you change the name of something doesn't help take away from the facts. There's a lot of missing soldiers down there. Okay, Killeen residents react to shocking news. Fort Hood vote in Congress. Okay, it's not there. Let's see. Let's go back to Private Schmidt. It's Smithers. That wasn't what I wanted. Okay, let's just go back here. Private Smitty. See if anything pops up. That was how we got to her. Okay, yeah, she's done really good getting his story. Like I said, she's got a story out there. But I don't know if she has any videos. Like Kamisha, there's a documentary on Kamisha. Okay, this might be Justice. Okay, yep. Getting close. Okay, service member. Okay, so I was hoping that she could tell the story. And then this is the other thing. Oh, I mean, you know what? This is when I wish I had somebody sitting here with me so you could go, hey, Dingleberry, you're not, we can't see what you're looking at. So I got over here to the Justice for Private TV2 Caleb Smitty Smither. And I wanted her to tell the story. But I don't know if she has any videos up here. You know what? Let's go look. Oh, I don't think so. Reels. Or they call them reels these days. Okay. Some of her older stuff. But basically, long story short, is he got sick and he was left in his room, and somebody should have had him on watch. And they failed watch. And then by the time anybody figured out that he had had some type of medical emergency, it was too late. Okay. I want to click on something that's going to explain it and not. Okay. Let's see if it. Okay, that's gonna make me cry. Let's pop off that one. That's not the one I wanted. Let's see, sis.
Hi everyone, Heather Baker here, mother of PV2 Caleb Smither. I am getting ready to have a big meeting with the Army coming up this Friday, and there's a lot on my mind and in my heart. I get to sit in front of a few of our beautiful airborne soldiers from Fort Bragg, and they're going to explain to me just what happened to Caleb. They'll give me the 15-6 and the line of duty investigation, and supposedly, I guess, put it all together with the CID investigation. And I believe that we will have at least their official answer. So, love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Maybe the next stage of your healing journey is just telling more people to fuck right off.
Look, I'm talking. Dude, I was talking, I have my mute on. Sorry. Well, Karen, lots of us have wondered about that. And, it's something about healing. If people would just come clean with some of the stuff that happens, because if it was an accident, why do you have to hide all these different things about it? So let's see. I'm going to go over here. Fort Leonard Wood, Gomer Pile. Anyway, I think that's Full Metal Jacket. What was I? Oh, okay. Fort Hood. I thought they had a. I don't even spell that right, did I? There we go. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Get that off there. Okay, so the timeline of events. Now, it really sucks that it took the Vanessa Guillen story to kind of help highlight some of the other stories and the non-combatant issues and just weird stuff that goes on military installations. Okay, does that have it? Yeah, okay. Let me see. I don't know if it'll highlight on this because I don't want to talk about all of them today. And it did the opposite of what I wanted. Okay, sorry, guys. Hold on. Over here in this section over here, it kind of shows a whole bunch of different stories that I might not get to touch on. I don't know his name, but he's got a crazy, all of them. There's all kinds of crazy stories. Okay. Here, this is a 48-second. This one, yeah, okay.
Congress is launching an investigation into the recent deaths at Fort Hood in Texas. A letter was sent to Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy requesting documents and information on the deaths. According to the letter, the subcommittees will look at whether the deaths are symptomatic of problems with the chain of command. 28 soldiers stationed at the U.S. Army base have died this year. One of the more high-profile deaths involved Vanessa Guillen. Federal officials say she was murdered by a fellow soldier back in April.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content.
Okay. I did it. I do that a lot, you guys, because I forget that it went to a different screen. Share. Okay. I was really hoping that they were going to talk about a couple of them in that clip, because this guy right here is kind of crazy, and I can't think of his name. I'm sure if I go over here, I might find it here in a minute. But if you don't know about the stuff that was going on at Fort Hood, I strongly suggest looking into that rabbit hole. If you can. If you can't, then I strongly suggest you don't look at it. Army punishes 14, right? 14 after review from Guillen killing, December 8th. That's my mom's birthday. 14 soldiers got in trouble. Okay, so the same trend seems to be like some of them or like reported sexual assaults. So that's a whole nother thing. There's a documentary called The Invisible War that I suggest watching. I think it's on YouTube. And maybe I'll end on that because I got a few more minutes. I usually run till 11. And since I got some viewers, you're kind of communicating with me, I'll keep digging. Rash, that's a good word. Rash of death in 2020 alone. At least 28 soldiers stationed at the base died due to homicides, suicides, or accidents. Okay. Oh, that's what I was looking for. See if they got a video. And yep. Okay.
Search for a missing soldier at Fort Hood. The body of Sergeant Elder Fernandez found 25 miles from the base. They don't suspect foul play, but the Army said prior to the disappearance, Fernandez had been the victim of abusive sexual contact and had been transferred to a new unit.
Okay, and that's the other thing. With another that a lot of the guys don't talk about is in that Invisible War movie. I learned that I can't remember what year it was, but that this one particular year there was 5,000 male soldiers that got sexually assaulted, and that's when it was like that. Oh, it happens to them too, and then weird stuff. And then since being, I did it again. But since doing the Veterans Coffee Club podcast, or just Coffee Club in general, and then now the extension of the podcast, I've met male soldiers locally that have really intense stories. Okay, so which one do I want? And that's why, like, if you look at my Veterans Coffee Club, like you can see I started and then I was down for a minute. I was doing live from the actual coffee clubs, but then like people were showing up and I needed to talk to them and listen to what their stories were more than podcasting in those situations. So I did. And whoo, I'll tell you what. Yeah. It's intense to hear it from a guy's point of view. Well, I was going to do that, but I want to stay on this topic for a minute. Yeah, I don't blame him. I don't like talking about it. And so when Mr. Cecil Stroud tries to get me to talk about stuff, I'm like, no, I don't want to talk. You're already being mean, for one. And if that's the way you're going to talk to me, then why do I want to have a heart-to-heart with somebody that's trying to like belittle me and exploit my trauma? I mean, it's weird. He fixates on things about my sex life, and it's just like, dude, you're weird, get away. But some male soldiers are just weird. Okay, here's what we know about the 8 who died. Let's see this one. See, it's been a little while since these happened, and it did happen around the pandemic time too. Okay, so this gives you their names. Okay, that's the guy's name. Okay, this young guy, this young private, I felt really bad for him because foul play is suspected. Stories of any kind. I mean, really, it's nuts. And then when I was going through learning about all this stuff, I started learning about the soldiers who were sex trafficking up at a base in North America somewhere, one of them states up north, like towards Canada. Brandon Rosencrantz, May 18th, Harker Heights, Texas. He was found, the same day, Stewart said, Rosencrantz, 2016 Jeep Renegade was found burned. See, and I think they could do a better job vesting some of these guys going in. That's why I don't think the draft is really all it's cracked up to be, because then you just, I don't know, maybe it would help, maybe it wouldn't help. But I think some of them aren't mentally ready, and they've changed a lot of the rules on how to get in, and then it wind up letting people get in that shouldn't be trained to carry a weapon. Okay, I'm so behind in that story. Yeah, at least you two know what's going on. I should have put the show out. This is what I'm looking at over here. Okay, come on, people. Shelby Tyler Jones died March 1st, suffered from apparent gunshot wound. Killeen. And this is kind of weird, when you start getting like a whole bunch of weird deaths, and it kind of reminds me of the Military Justice for All, because if you go in and look at that website I just had pulled up, let me see if I pull it up again. So just in case you missed what it does or what information is housed on it. I want to keep this page open because I want to come back to it. Oh, wait, no. I did the wrong one. I'll go ahead and show. So if you look this up, you got to put the non-combatant part, because it took me a while to get back to the website, and I wanted to use it here in the next couple weeks. as I can tell other stories. I may not be able to tell my story all the way, but I can tell parts of it using some of the girls' stories because I was on boots on the ground in 2008. Okay. No, it didn't. Wasn't the right one. Okay, that's why I didn't go farther down. Okay, there we go. And it gives us graph and everything. And then just this right here put things into perspective for me when I found this website. And then it even like shows you the map. I don't really see the bases, but Baghdad Parade Ground. If you don't know, like Baghdad was like one of the epicenters of the world at one time, and it was like the circle, which is actually a pretty good design. It's one of the most history based nations, countries. I don't even know what to call it. How do I get it here? Okay, there. Get off the screen. So this says 111 women died in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom OIF. So this goes down, it breaks down the combat deaths, 63%, and then it breaks down the accidents and the homicide, suicide, unknown. And that's still a high number for the unknown. And so if you want to come back and do a rabbit hole on military deaths, this is a really good website to look at. And I was in Baghdad in 2008, so I remember some of these stories when the news broke. And then I wound up, this one here is the reason why I got pulled out early. Was that? No, that wasn't it. This one. But I wasn't supposed to come home until sometime in 2009, like maybe February to May 2009. And so I got extracted after this because, yeah. So anyway, you can read the girl stories there. And then back to, so that's how I figured out when I found that, and then it kind of led me over to the Fort Hood stuff. And so these stories are kind of crazy. Then they have the Fort Hood shooting. I remember that from 2009. I wanted a video. Okay, let's see if YouTube has something. I got schooled a minute ago with this guy. Mysteries, maybe. Well, that's a 3-hour one. Well, this right here looks like it would be a really interesting documentary to watch.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete
Private Carlton Chief.
Okay, I just want to have that in my history. I'll go back and look at it later. This looks like a 3-hour documentary. Paranormal Files, okay. Interesting. I don't have TV, so that's why I wouldn't know they did anything like that. Let's see. This is a short. Okay.
What is happening in Fort Hood?
Recently, 20-year-old Ana Fernanda Basaldua Ruiz was found without life at the Fort Hood military base in Texas. This is only 3 years after Vanessa Guillen was murdered in that same base with very similar circumstances connecting both cases. So what exactly is happening? As of now, officials are ruling Ana's death a suicide, but many are not convinced, including her family, who are claiming Ana was a victim of harassment even at the hands of her supervisor. We can only hope that the truth will come out, justice will be served, and that this isn't another case of Fort Hood covering up another murder at the hands of one of their very own soldiers. How can we trust the military when they can't even protect their very own active duty women?
Good question.
Rest in peace, Ana. We will not forget you.
And then we're not allowed to sue.
We are here in
What is
The Ferris Doctrine stops us from being able to sue. And that's just crazy to me. Not to change the subject, but foreign military in the U.S. to train, go AWOL. Oh, dude, I don't understand that either. Like, I've heard some things about that, and some of them, yeah. What's this? And then you said, I don't know. Context. Army doctrine? Or are you talking about what you just said there? Oh, okay. Who creates? Who creates? Yep. Yep. So what's this say?
Did you know that Fort Hood, one of the largest U.S. military bases, has a fascinating past? Back in the old days, it was a hub of military.
And she's at rights to sue. Okay. Ferris. Let me see if it has a little story about that. Okay. See, it gets all these long ones. Why can't we just have something that's short, explanatory? Oh, these guys want to overturn it. Let's see what they say.
Wait, you don't write anything down after conversations?
This is Pocket. I never go anywhere without it. At the tap of a button,
No,
it
I
records and creates organized notes
Fair
based
stuff.
on your conversations. I use it at work.
Hey guys, I'm here with veterans and service members, legal champion and advocate Tim Parlatore, talking about the Ferris Doctrine and what we can do to change it. Tim, you want to take the point on that?
Sure. The Ferris Doctrine is something that it's been around for a long time, and it has an intended purpose, but unfortunately the way that it's developed has really put our service members into a terrible position. What it essentially says is that if you're in the military and you've been wronged by the federal government related to your service, you can't sue the government. That's something that in certain circumstances makes sense, but as has been applied across the board, it takes you to a position where if you get dragged out of your home and arrested for a crime you didn't commit, anybody else, you can sue the government for that malicious prosecution, that wrongful arrest. But if you happen to be a member of the military, you can't do that. If you get wrongfully spied on by the government, anyone else, you can sue for that. If you're a member of the military, you can't. If you're a member of the military and you're being treated in a military hospital and the doctors completely botch things up, causing you or your loved one to be permanently injured or killed, you can't get any compensation for that under the Ferris Doctrine. It's a doctrine that should be changed. There's a movement in this country now to get this changed, to be able to give our men and women in uniform this essential right. And it's something that we've agreed to work together to try and make this happen.
I did it again. You know what? Thank you, Six Puppies. You know, I need a bell. Like, seriously, like a sound. Aaron, you know, I'm going to start making him listen to all my podcasts. And at least in the side, he can do whatever he wants and just have my podcast in the background so he knows if I go quiet. I keep muting my mic to like blow my nose and stuff, and I keep forgetting to turn it back on. You need me? No. I just was for future reference. I'm gonna start making you watch all the podcasts so I know when I mute myself. Carry on. No, I'm not. I just happen to look over and they're both telling me muted, muted. Okay, you know what I have had? Like I've had a cup and a half of coffee. All right, you would think I'd be paying attention to my mute button. It's on a different screen. If that, like, you know, my defense. So yeah, the Ferris Doctrine. That's a good rabbit hole to go down. And from the looks of it, there's lots of good. Well, not. I don't want to say good because I mean, if it's a sad story, it's never a good anything. Lots of videos and stories. I don't know what to think about that. Like, should I be sad that so many people get gypped? Okay. So yeah, so that's that. So if that helps people as I'm talking about some of these. Okay. Uh-oh. That's it. She might
If you're in the
military,
no,
you don't.
I didn't. In fact, it wasn't until I became a podcaster that I learned about the Ferris Doctrine. So I had shoulder surgery, not knowing about the Ferris Doctrine. Now, I would have still gotten it, but I would have liked to have at least known that there was no recourse if a mistake were to happen. I
think that's why it's important for me, for families that have kids going into the military and want to go into the military, this time-honored tradition, to know about the Ferris Doctrine.
You should know about the Ferris Doctrine.
About the medical claims.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was just saying, like, you know, it's important, I think, for them to know about the Ferris Doctrine, what their rights are and what their rights are not, and to know about the claims process. You know, these are things that you find out until you just don't have any clue. I thought we took the best care of our service members. Holy cow, do I know different now? If you're in the military, you don't.
I didn't.
Okay. Karen always starts sipping me with some good stuff, man. Good information there, Karen.
Petty Officer Timothy Sanders' mom, Nicole Sanders, is standing up against the Navy and the military's Ferris Doctrine. Attorney for the family, Kevin Hoffman, tells 13 News Now that rule bars families from pursuing legal action against the military.
Okay. I didn't realize I was still on that one. Let's see. Fort Hood. And again, tragedy. This is just said tragedies. So yeah, if you want to go on another rabbit hole, just type that in. Fort Hood tragedy. That got all kinds of storylines there. Let's see. No, I won't do that one. Let's do this one. I was talking about it a little bit ago, and I said I would end on this subject. So yeah, so if you haven't seen The Invisible War, I highly suggest going on YouTube and just watching it, because it just explains so much, and a lot of girls got to talk in this one, and there's some good statistics in that. Her story was good. Nope, see, there I go. I gotta figure out how you a word to say other than good, because none of this is really good. informative. I want to go back up to this other one. I want to play it and then probably get off here in a few minutes. So here's this.
If I die tomorrow, my family inherits 2.5 million. Not debt, not a mortgage, actual generation.
All the world is watching.
I thought it was going to be a documentary clip. I didn't realize it was a. You got me. Okay. I just wanted to do something that kind of gave a little background. How long? Okay, let's see. Let's do her.
Everything changed the day that I was raped. He hit me in the head and knocked me out.
I remember holding the closet thinking, what just happened?
A month later, I found out I was pregnant.
If this is happening to me, surely I'm not the only one.
16,150 service members were assaulted in 2009.
About 500,000 women have now been sexually assaulted in the U.S. military.
They let this man get away with everything but murder.
They gave him Military Professional of the Year award during the rape investigation.
They made it very, very clear if I said anything, they were going to kill me.
Most Americans assume that there is access to a system of justice.
You would think that because the military is about protecting our country, that certainly they would want to protect their own.
We're a country who needs every good soldier to make sure we have a strong military defense.
How many women are leaving the military because they've been sexually assaulted or raped?
Civilians see it as being a military problem.
Most rapists are repetitive criminals. They do it again and again.
They go on to literally prey on women and men, girls and boys in our neighborhoods back home.
When does this ever end?
It's very difficult to do a story on the most powerful institution in the world.
The Department of Defense has a history of covering up sexual offense problems. I don't know who you think elected you to defy the Congress of the United States. What is it you're trying to hide?
That's why I was looking for the trailer. So, yep. Sadly, I'm one of the statistics. And that's all she wrote. Yeah, so if you guys want to go back and look at that full documentary, it looked like it was the hour-long version. That's a 29-minute version, maybe an interview. That's something different. This one here. Come back and see, click on this one if you want to watch that whole video. Okay, I think I'm about done, folks. Article 6, Section 3, all public servants shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. I know. Yep. It's crazy. So, I did make a new video or intro. I gotta work on an outro video for the podcast, but this helps me not to get flagged anymore for playing like music in my videos. So I'm just going to go out on my new intro, and I will see you guys. Well, we got a couple good shows coming up this week. I'm going to be back on Thursday with the Nicole in all caps. I'm going to be talking about the newest complaint against me. Mikkel just filed something on the same day that I got a judge in the defamation cases, which is, you can come find me on my personal Facebook page. I can go in depth on that, but retaliatory. So now the Madison County Election Board actually let this go through. So imagine that, all the election crimes I pointed out in 6 years, and they haven't given me a hearing, or they have a hearing and I don't get the due process notification. So there's going to be a hearing on July 30th at 2 p.m. about 2 signs, which there's some good links, some videos to prove that there was no sign on the door when those signs were placed. They were also placed by volunteers, and we're not going to rat on our volunteers, and we're just going to, take responsibility. But we did, and we got a warning, and we moved our signs. But if you listen to what Mikkel says, I was very non-compliant. And craziest thing of all is at the last Madison County Election Board hearing, I got them to, me and Tim Lannon, I got them to establish that I complied with when they told me to move them. So then he only has, I'm going to make this joke, and I already said I wasn't going to go this far into the story, but the only exhibit that he has shows that him and Christy Grabowski were standing in the chute. So, am I horrible? Or is he just pissed that he got caught? So anyway, tune in to Thursday. We're not going to be using the 2 chicks for a minute. So if you want to follow along, this is getting right. You got to, and the hearing will be live, because it'll be on the courthouse cam, and I think they're going to make them look stupid. I mean, they're making themselves look stupid. If you look at the complaint, so there is a complaint up. If you want to look at it, just go over to Catherine's page to look at it. But anyway, I'll be talking about that on Thursday, and the IURC is coming to town on Monday. If you guys, anybody tunes in and you're watching this, Monday, the IURC is coming to town and this is Anderson News, for the utilities. So with that, I'm just going to end, like I said, with my newest outro, and call it a day. It's a wrap. Oh, look, he flushed. We take that off there. All right, ladies and gents, thanks for your support, and I will keep getting better. At least I hope. If not, then it just is what it is, and I'm goofy. All right, Hula.
Grab a cup, pull up a chair. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast is on the air. Different branches, different posts, different years, same ride. We know the long convoys, guardships, chow halls, pride. We know the crackle of a radio, boots humming on the floor, letters home, family calls, the waiting by the door. No matter where we serve or the uniform we wore, there's always room around this table. Come on in and shut the door. Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Pull up and take a seat. cup, one story. Keep the pulse and eat. Veterans Coffee Club, where the words run deep. We show up, we speak up, and we keep what we keep. With a hot cup of coffee and some truth we need to say. Veterans helping veterans, that's how we lead the way. Blue or green, doesn't matter. Yeah, you still in. If you're in it now, say so. We all pack the boxes, we move from town to town. Hey! Late nights with the news on, yeah, and the phone right there. You know that life too, yeah, we live some of it. You ever have one of those days you don't know what to say all the time? That's why we sit here. From yesterday's warriors to those still serving today, we honor every sacrifice and the price that freedom paid. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Grab a cup, take a seat. One cup, one story. Honest talk, no repeat. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Say it plain, say it straight. We show up, we speak up. No backing out the gates. So grab a cup and join us. We keep it real, we keep it true. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast starts right here with you. Veterans helping veterans. One cup, one story, and one conversation at a time.